Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but you sound a little nasally as well because in the last fight, didn't your nose get fucked up? Or didn't you
Actually,
break your nose?
my nose got fucked up. I did, but my nose was fucked up even before that.
So your nose was fucked up before that.
Yeah.
And I think I asked you, I said, are you going to get the nose fixed? And you said, well, I got another fight coming up, so probably not.
Yeah. I'm planning on getting my nose fixed after I fight in May because I definitely want to get that fixed before I go pro. Especially 15-minute fights as opposed to 9-minute fights.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a month where I can't really do cardio at all. Like I can't risk, I think bursting the capillaries, or I don't know if I'm using the correct terminology.
Yeah.
But I can't breathe heavy. I can't put strain on my body for a month.
Yeah.
I can't work out at all.
Yeah. I broke my nose in a football accident years ago. And me and this kid, we collided faces. We were playing not touch. We were playing flag football, and we both dove for the same ball. We were on the same team.
Yeah.
And we collided faces in midair, and my nose just went totally sideways.
Yeah.
And I had his teeth in my forehead. They cut through the muscle in my forehead. I had stitches up there. It was rough. It was not a fun day. And I just remember I noticed that my head was bleeding, it was shooting out blood. That's what I noticed. I didn't notice the nose was broken.
Okay.
So then my buddy's on the phone with my mom, and he's like, yeah, he's okay. We just called the ambulance. They're on their way, blah, blah, blah. Oh, they're coming over now. And she goes, is there anything else wrong? What's going on? Is there anything else? And he said, well, I think his nose is broken. He was whispering it to her on the phone. And she goes, does he know? And he goes, no. But as they said that, the EMS guy comes over and he goes, all right, who's injured? He goes, oh, damn, kid, you broke your fucking nose, huh? I said, oh my God, I broke my nose. What do you mean? I had no idea. Okay. So it was so swollen though. It was so swollen that I actually had to have surgery 2 days later. That's how bad it was.
Okay.
And I'm trying to remember the recovery. They sent me home with one of those pieces over the top. They had to break it and reset it underneath.
Yeah.
And it was I feel like I was training within a week or two. I don't know if maybe I just didn't listen to the doctors, but yeah, I know you definitely want to keep it clear. Okay. I had a buddy that had that too.
So actually, I broke my nose in layman's terms, but the nose isn't actually broken in medical sense. What happened was, I know I messed up my nose in the last fight, but the initial injury and the thing that needed to be fixed even before the last fight was in the very first sparring session I did after my first fight.
So it was after the fight. It wasn't even during the fight.
After my very first fight.
Oh shit.
Very first sparring session I did, I took a nice shot and I ended up deviating my septum.
Oh man.
And it filled up with fluid. I didn't realize it at the time until maybe a week later. I can't breathe at all. I'm talking like this, it was bad.
Yeah.
And then I take a picture, selfie camera up my nose, and I just see a giant blob.
Yeah, that's the congealed blood, right?
No, it was my skin swollen.
Oh.
There was a ball, you know what I mean? A bulge, I guess, of skin.
Yeah.
I was scared shitless because I thought that I had staph up my nose.
Oh, is that what it can turn into and look like?
Well, it's just that I had around this time, I had been getting staph a lot, and I haven't had staph in a while. I hope I never fucking get staph again, man.
Okay, so I'm new to this world, and the skin infection stuff is very new to me because I never did any wrestling like you, and I never did anything like that. So the showering immediately after and using the defense soap and all this stuff, that's all new to me. I never realized that, ringworm and staph was so prevalent in this sport, even just training.
Yeah. Well, because we're skin on skin contact, and we're sweating on each other.
Yeah.
That's the big thing with staph, is it transmits through sweat. Right. Especially in the summer, man, when you're sweating so much.
Yeah.
It gets bad,
I love those sessions though.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
I love those sessions, man.
Absolutely.
When I first came to Sarah's, it was so funny because I was so not timid, but it was just a new world for me. I never did anything like this. So the thought of another man sweating on you was just kind of like, oh God, like what's going on?
Yeah, but you forgot the best part. He's gonna wrap his legs around you.
Oh yeah, wrap his legs around me, and
He's gonna look you
and
in
he's
the
gonna
eyes.
stare right into my soul while he's doing it too. And I'm like, how do I get out of this? So I just remember rolling with one of the guys. I think he was a blue or a purple belt at the mixed class.
Okay.
And we're it's my first week, so we're rolling. He's obviously going very light on me. I'm trying to figure out whatever. I'm still trying to figure out what the hell what to do.
Right.
So he mounts me, and he's just like on top, and he's like almost gift wrapping my arms. And I just remember looking at his chin, and there was a huge glob of sweat that was just like rolling back and forth as he was moving, and it just slow motion style, just boop, it falls off, and it just right in my forehead. And I went, all right, now I don't give a fuck, I guess. That was it. Now ever since then, I don't give a shit. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever. I mean, I roll with the dudes in North Carolina. Those guys were awesome. That room was sweaty.
Yeah, man.
That shit was crazy.
Yeah.
But I think since starting this, it's been really cool to be able to, like we were talking a little bit before about tribe mentality and all like the people that we associate with at the gym.
Yeah.
How Sarah's our team, we're like in that room together. We come to support you when you fight. We come to support Marcus when he's fighting.
Right.
The trials, the ADCC trials and all these other things. If we have guys going to it, you show up as a team because we want to make sure that we're there for one another. And it's really cool. And I like the aspect of when I travel now, I get to go to other gyms and experience their versions of the little tribes that they have.
Yep.
So it's pretty cool, man. I've really been enjoying that aspect of it.
Okay. Well, I'm happy you like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
It's definitely a friendlier environment. The MMA gym, Jiu Jitsu gym, at least at Sarah's, it's a much friendlier environment than a wrestling room, man. Everybody's miserable in a wrestling room.
Why are they so mad? Talk to me. Why are they so mad in wrestling rooms?
Because,
Do we have to get them Happy Meals? What's wrong? We got to get everybody smiling a little bit. It's crazy. Oh, they're cutting weight. We can't get them Happy Meals.
Because it's, we've got 2-a-days as a team, right? We've got a 6 o'clock practice and a 3 o'clock practice, or we've got hill sprints in the morning and then a lift in the afternoon. We've just got miserable stuff going on. And we're going to practice twice a day. And then we're going to get the shit kicked out of us we're going to get on a bus for 4 hours while we're dehydrated and hungry, and we're going to get the shit kicked out of us, and then we're going to get on a bus and go back home, and it's just a miserable environment, and you're constantly in competition with one another, right? It needs to be that way. If you have just like an established hierarchy, then the guys that are at the top just beat the shit out of the guys at the bottom. Nobody really gets any better because you're either just getting the shit kicked out of you and accepting it, or you're just, beating the shit out of somebody that's not really fighting back, right? So you need to have competition, right? Fist fights should break out in a wrestling room because guys get heated.
That tense.
Yeah, it's just like we have to push each other to elevate each other. It's just an environment like that. But like, we hang out outside. We shoot the shit. Like. We are friendly. It can be friendly, but it's supposed to be, and it should be competitive and tense and like just environment like that.
Yeah. From the second you walk into the room, you're just like, it's go time. That type of mentality you're saying.
Yeah, well, it's just like like you're competing for starting spots.
And how many I'm very unfamiliar with the wrestling world, so how many starting spots are there? Like, how does a tournament pan out? Like, just give me a rough estimate, a rough idea.
So tournaments and like the starting lineup is like a different thing.
Okay.
But when you wrestle a team versus another team, which is what's known as a dual, called a duel, like not DUEL, DUAL.
Yeah.
There's like duel because there's 2 of us.
Yeah.
Anyways, but when you have this team versus that team, the format is we send one guy out at each weight, and the results of each of those matches create a team score. Okay, so you have in college wrestling and NCAA wrestling, you have 10 weight classes: 125, 133, 141, 149, 157, 165. 174, 184, 197.
Are these meticulously done weights based on roughly hitting the whole array of where the people would be? Is there a reason between the 9-pound differences or?
I mean, in high school they changed the weights all the time.
Okay.
College, I don't think they've changed that much. They haven't changed from when I started knowing, from the time I started knowing what the college weight classes were to now, they haven't changed.
Okay.
But the high school weights have changed like 4 or 5 times since I've been around wrestling. So I can't testify too much to that. I don't know for sure.
I feel like kids are smaller nowadays. I feel like there's a lot more lesser weight classes. I feel like they were bigger back in the day.
I don't know, man. It's just a lot of times something will happen, like with high school when they changed the weight classes. Like for example, in recent memory from me, I think like 160 was really stacked and 170 was really stacked, or like 160 was really stacked and 182 was really stacked at one year. And then we're just like, why are we having 170-pound weight class? So like they made like 160 a little heavier and they made 182 a little lighter.
Gotcha.
But it's changed again since that. But like that those specific weight classes might not be the correct example, but like the point is that like those are the things that create rule changes in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of college wrestling, as far as my memory serves, the weight classes haven't changed.
Okay.
For me, at least. But anyways, we got 10 weights, 10 matches. So you wrestle 10 matches. Right. 125, 133, 140. Yeah, 10 weight classes. Send one guy out at each weight. And whether that match ends as a decision, major decision, technical fall, or pin, awards a certain amount of team points. And after all 10 matches are wrestled, right, the team score determines who won the match.
Gotcha.
That's a dual meet. That's what happens when this team wrestles that team. Now, when you enter a tournament, that's almost the identical format of a jiu-jitsu tournament, except there's going to be like 32 and 64-man brackets, not 5-man brackets.
Gotcha.
You know?
Cool.
Yeah.
It's a different world, man. Who is the kind of person that signs up to start in the wrestling field in like high school?
Sorry, say that again?
What type of person signs up? Because you're making it seem like it's just all misery and anger. So what kind of person decides that I want to be a wrestler when they're in high school and then obviously continue to follow it through to the collegiate level?
That's
a good one, right?
It's a very like
I know.
general question.
Well, is it somebody that wants to? I don't know. Because you can translate some wrestling to some self-defense. I mean, there's a lot being able to control someone's body. That's a perk to it, and learning all of that. There's another aspect of it of they want to be able to become stronger, whether it's based solely off strength or speed. There's a lot of explosiveness in wrestling. I don't know if there's like a specific person that looks at it and just goes, "I'd like to start wrestling because I'm interested in XYZ." That's why. Or they just try it on a whim because their high school offers it, and then they either hate it or fall in love with it. That's why I figured, I don't know, maybe there's a reason.
Yeah. So, you definitely have right now. So the whole idea of wrestlers working harder than anybody else, like how difficult wrestling is, like that has made its way into public view, I think. Like, I think that, like, people generally understand that wrestling is an extremely difficult thing to do, even people that don't know anything about wrestling. And, like, you know, we live in a world now where everybody knows who David Goggins is. Everybody has, at least, even if they don't agree with that, everybody has heard in their life that you need to push yourself and do difficult things. So I think that that's one factor that drives people towards wrestling. Like, a lot of people, in high school, middle school, start wrestling and will quit. They'll quit like before their first season ends, or they won't come back because of just how difficult it is. And rightfully so, because if you don't have a reason to be doing it, whether that's like a goal, I mean, almost 99% of the time it is because there's a specific goal in wrestling you want to achieve. But if you don't have a goal you want to achieve, your mind can't rationalize the difficultness you're putting yourself through. Mm-hmm. Like, this is where, if I wasn't a wrestler, if I wasn't a fighter, I wouldn't relate to David Goggins at all. Because like I'm not going fucking running. I hate running. But like, if I didn't want to achieve something, right? If I didn't want to be a world champion one day, then why would I push my body through that? Just because that's where That's where I start to disassociate a little bit, where it's just like doing hard things just for the sake of doing them, because once your body enters that fight or flight mode, if you will, right, there needs to be a reason that you're doing what you're doing. Like when you dig deep, you're finding a reason to overcome this. And when you do it every single day for like 3 hours a day, maybe you can dig deep and overcome just because. Like you can do that a little bit, but like when you're doing it every day from November to February, like one day you're just gonna retrain and you're not gonna have anything to pull out unless you have a reason you're putting yourself through that, which is the goal, right, to win a state championship, for example.
You could. I agree 100%. I do think that there are some type of situations where the reason could be because you want to callous yourself. Like that's a David Goggins quote from the book. So you want to callous your body, you want to callous your mind, because doing these hard things makes the regular hard things that you do in your life, like a client didn't pay on time, or the dog is sick, or I have to be able to go. I have to go get groceries, but it's snowing outside. Like these things that would seem monumental to people that don't do hard things, because you've put yourself into the gauntlet X amount of times, it actually lowers that bar, and it's actually not that bad, and you're able to face these things a little bit easier. So I do agree with what you're saying. There has to be a reason. One of my reasons, which I started bodybuilding, and I started obviously this little journey that I have going on. I wanted a way to be in shape and keep myself accountable, but also to challenge myself, because I already did the bodybuilding route. I did my 2 shows. I did XYZ. And I started doing the HIIT classes and different type of training. And then I said, I always wanted to try Jiu Jitsu, so let's give it a shot. And it's been a hard journey, man. It's been little injuries. It's been just dealing with things, and it hasn't been easy. I want to compete, but injuries stop me. Not that I'm sustaining them, but the thought of injuries stops me.
Okay.
Because if I'm going to go 150% at a contest like a ADCC or one of the other contests or competitions that are coming up,
yeah,
you have to take that out of your mind, the injury thing, and I have to learn how to block that out if I'm going to do that. Because you can't go into it thinking that you're going to get injured. You can't go into it thinking that, this could happen, or your ankle could give out, or this and that. You have to go into it just going, I have this challenge in front of me, and I have to just face it head on.
Right. Well, I mean, you brought up ADCC as an example.
Well, the reason I bring that up is because Gary at the comp class has been getting us ready for it.
Yeah.
Now we have the new one coming to the Atlantic City area.
Yes.
So
that's next Sunday, right?
No. I think that's in a couple of months. It's like in 2 months.
Oh, okay. I thought there was like an ADCC Open like next week, like not the Saturday in 6 days. I thought that there was like another one.
I'll have to look. Maybe it is in a month or a couple of weeks. But I know that IBJJF is coming to Long Island as well.
Okay.
So he's been. They hammer that home, and I like going to the competition class because it's a way for you to really roll with some dudes that are serious about the way that they do it, but we're still respectful with each other in certain ways, and I like that. That's what I look for. Of
course. Well, but I mean, either way, like an IBJJF Open or an ADCC Open, right? Those are bigger competitions. Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of smaller ones. There's a bunch of smaller steps to get into the competition phase, right? Going right into an ADCC Open, that would be pretty huge, right? Yeah. You probably won't find anyone else. You'll be in the very small minority of people competing for the first time at that competition. Yeah. Right. You should do much more local competition first.
I'm a white belt with 2 stripes, so I have that. I said I'm a white belt with 2 stripes, so I do have that on my side. Right, not that that's a benefit to me in terms of like winning or not, but I'm saying that I'm going against other white belts is the point.
Yeah, but I mean, like, and I believe, and I mean, I'm a little out of touch with, because there's so many different organizations and rule sets with Jiu-Jitsu. Like, you have Naga, and New Breed,
Pride,
ADCC, and IBJJF, and XR, QYZ, and the promotion Ricky and I started. And, like there's a whole bunch of stuff. But, I think, like, those types of events, like the ADCC Open, for example, like, they separate the skill divisions not by belt.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure they have gi at ADCC.
No, it's all no gi.
Yeah, right. So like the skill divisions are like beginner, intermediate, advanced, or something like that. So
I wonder what the cutoff is then, technically, what they consider it.
Yeah, but like I would do like a really local tournament first, like the one where you sign up and you have like 3 guys in your bracket
Mhm.
just to get out there and deal with the nerves and
Yeah, get your feet wet.
yeah, exactly. Get your feet wet, right? Before you start getting worried about dealing with like, somebody who's going hard at 7:20 in the morning, right? Because a lot of the guys that you'll see at that competition are going hard at 7:20 in the morning and trying to hurt people at 7:20 in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they should be, but that's just like those are the kind of people you'll run into out there. Maybe start smaller and work your way up to that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree. I agree. So in terms of, getting into for wrestling, you brought up, you have to have a why. What was your why when you first started with wrestling?
I started wrestling kind of I actually played football before I wrestled. And I liked football because you got to hit people. Not that like I wanted to like when I say hit people, I don't mean punch people. Like I just liked
Yeah, you like the
I like the
physicality.
collision.
You like the
I like the
physicality.
contact. Yes, the physicality.
He's a natural physicist. He likes the collisions.
But yeah. And so like I was like generally this size when I was in middle school too. Like, I mean, obviously, I'm meaner and I've gained muscle and whatnot, but like I've generally had the same physique since I was a middle schooler.
Yeah, I had the same height since I was in middle school. So
Yeah. Yeah, I've generally just been the same build and physique since I was in middle school. So like I was a lineman when I was 13 years old and I loved it. And then by the time I was a freshman in high school, like the 10th graders that were playing on the line were like gigantic. Like they were 250 and 6 foot. And they're like, yeah, and they moved me to linebacker and I was learning an entirely new position. And, I've got a helmet on and I can't hear. And there were just a lot of things adding up that made the environment not as warm and welcome for me.
yeah,
Not that like it was anybody's fault necessarily, but it just lost its appeal to me. And then I started wrestling in middle school. And well, actually, let me dial it back a little bit. I was playing on the line in middle school, and one of the kids that I played on the line with told me he was going to wrestle next year because, like when you're blocking and like maneuvering somebody, it's very similar to like being in front of somebody and wrestling them. It's just like makes you a better lineman. I was like, all right, I'll try wrestling. I wrestled as an 8th grader in middle school. It was my first year. I liked it. I liked the grind. I liked the physicality of it. I liked I just liked it. But 9th grade came around, and then that whole story that I just explained about falling out of love with football, and then I had a lackluster effort as a freshman wrestling in high school. My primary goal as a 14-year-old was to hang out with my friends.
Yep.
But I was on the wrestling team, and then after the freshman season ended, I got a lot more involved in the off-season wrestling because like wrestling, like even though the high school season is only in the winter, there's wrestling year round. So I got a lot more involved, and then by the time I was getting ready to be a 10th grader, I was like, I really want to get serious about wrestling, and I was like, well, I need to gain weight for football. I need to maintain my size. I might even need to lose weight to wrestle. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to put my chips on wrestling. And I did, and I never looked back.
nice.
Yeah. So my why I started was, I don't really fucking know, to tell you the truth. Become a better football player.
There you go. It just started, and then you fell in love with that.
I fell in love with it.
It's cool how pivoting in life can actually create new pathways for you to go down, because if you just continue to play football and you learned how to be a linebacker, and not to say you wouldn't have loved it at some point, but you just kind of stayed the course and did your thing and never touched wrestling, we might not be sitting here today having a conversation.
Right.
Because we would have never met at Sarah's. We would the pathways that we choose just set us up for just everything. It's pretty crazy how it works.
It is, absolutely.
I did want to just take a back step. So you were mentioning that you couldn't hear with the helmet on.
Yeah.
With the hearing impairment.
Yeah.
Just was that something? Because I don't know your background on that. Was that something that you were born with? Did it develop over time? What was it?
So I was born with the hearing loss.
Okay.
I'm not an expert on the subject. I probably should be, but I'm not.
Okay. You don't have to be.
Yeah. But there's three categories that make up your hearing. You have the bones in the bottom of your earlobe that rattle. Then you have hair follicles that like carry that vibration over, and then you have the receptors, you have nerves, receptors in the brain. I forget the correct term for them that pick up and interpret.
The audio waves that you're hearing?
Yeah, and I believe it's the receptors in the brain that I have an issue with.
Okay.
I don't know the exact terminology or the exact diagnosis of.
Okay.
All I know is that words come out of your mouth and I don't always come.
So now obviously with the ear, with the wrestling cauliflower ear,
Yes.
that definitely doesn't help your hearing either.
No, I don't know if it hurts, but it definitely doesn't help.
It doesn't help. It doesn't help.
People have thought that my hearing loss came from the cauliflower ear, actually.
Yeah.
But no, it has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now, was it a challenge going through school? Did you have any, issues?
So in New York, there's something that's called a 504 or 509 planner. I forget the exact number, but it's basically just like if the student has special needs. I mean, like that's a very broad term, but if the student needs accommodations in the classroom, I know I moved away from the microphone. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're good.
If the student needs,
you're doing great with the mic placement. You're doing great.
if a student needs accommodations in the classroom, right, they have like just sort of like separate meetings to make sure that those accommodations are being met. And for me, it was just like sit in front of the room, make sure like as you go along with the lesson, just make sure he can hear everything, and make sure that there's something written. There's a written version of the notes, right? Like if
a transcribed version.
What's that?
A transcribed version.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like word for word, but like there just needs to be like if there's a lecture, there needs to be some kind of notes that I can take that don't simply rely on you talking and me hearing it.
Yeah,
you
gotta have relaying that information down to pen and paper.
Yeah. So like, am I making sense?
Yeah, you're making sense.
So, school wasn't like being able to get through school wasn't difficult. You got to have a sense of humor. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
It's the definition of low hanging fruit.
Yeah. Kids can be, man. It's such a weird thing because I was bullied when I was heavy because I was 270.
Okay.
I was bullied when I was heavier, and then it's like you go through that, and I hate bullying as a whole, obviously, but it's weird how it like shaped you to just get like an armor over you to just not take things as seriously when people talk to you and
right.
So it almost did me a favor in the long run. But dude, kids are fucking mean, man. They'll take anything they can to just make fun or big themselves up in front of a group of other kids. They want to make themselves look funny and cool, and they'll grab you by the throat and throw you in the road just to do it. And it could be a tough time, especially when you're trying to, have friends, be friends with people, do okay in school and well in school, and follow sports that you're trying to, not only master, obviously that's down the road, but just get into and get involved with and stay focused on.
Yeah.
And then you have things that are kind of obstacles that you have to just overcome and not let stand in your way, essentially is what I'm saying. So, with football, that would definitely be tough to be able to hear everybody, telling you all the different plays and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, like well-intentioned ball breaking, sometimes it'll get to me, but like, I never take it personally.
Yeah.
There were kids, like when people I didn't know that well when I could see that they were messing with me, like just to get a kick out of it, like that's what bothers me.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to name anybody's name, but I distinctly remember one time in 9th grade social studies, this kid was sitting behind me and he was just like, he like took the bag of his pencil and just like was like poking my hearing aid from behind me, and like I've never wanted to punch somebody in the face so bad in my life.
Yeah.
Only because like I just didn't know that kid that well, and it was just like who do you think you are to do that?
Yeah.
Like if it was one of my friends sitting behind me, I would have crumpled the piece of paper up and thrown at him. Like,
yeah, friends is, but that's the whole point. Friends are different.
Yeah,
it's cool. It's okay when your friend, as long as your friends are doing it in not being actual dicks and trying to like put you down.
Yeah.
Because there are friends that'll try to do that shit. Friends that'll try to do that shit to you, and then you eventually get them out of your circle. But if it's somebody that you have no affiliation or association with, it's like, why, bro, you think that you're that important that you could put your hands, touch somebody else, fuck with somebody else's hearing aid. You think that that's okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. You just it must be so difficult being the main character, right? Just like you're the main character of the whole entire world. Nobody else exists, right? You're the guy. Okay.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah. Somebody like that acts as though they're the only person that exists on the planet. So they call that being the main character.
I gotcha.
Somebody thinking that everybody else just is in their gaming world. So that's why. Yeah. So oh yeah, you're the only one that matters. Okay. Cool. Yeah, those people, yeah, they're usually the ones that aren't doing very well after high school either. So I'm sure he's not doing that great after high school anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've forgotten about most of those people. Not like to put anybody down, just in general. Just like sometimes somebody will say to me like, "Oh, you went to like," be like, "Oh, I know this guy. I think you went to high school with him." Like, I'm just like, dude. Like, aside from the people that I was friends with, that I stayed in touch with, like, I don't really remember like much about anybody.
Me either.
You know,
Either. I get asked every now and then. Oh, do you know someone? Nope.
like people that I was friendly with, like, if I wasn't like best friends with them, like if I was friendly with them, like, and I see them, like if they want to talk, like I'm happy to talk. I'll talk while the day goes long. I'll talk while the sun's in the sky. Like that's why I'm sitting here with you right now. You know?
Yeah.
But then there's people that just like I barely knew them, and it's just like before I ran into you right now, I forgot you existed. You know, and I don't mean to say that to be a dick, but it's just like I just, you know, and they probably forgot I existed too up until that moment they saw them. It's like, what do we have to talk about right now?
Yeah, we are. It's just like a hey, I hope everything's great.
Yeah.
You know, good. I'm glad you had a family now. Excellent, man. Be good. Like,
Yeah.
I'll see you in the next 10 years. It's like that's pretty much how it goes.
Yeah, and I don't say that to be like malicious or pretentious at all. It's just like, you know, just like what the hell do I say?
Don't say anything. There's not too many people will sugarcoat conversations and they'll just pretend like, oh my God, like, oh, they don't really give a shit. It's just like, hey man, hope everything's good. Good. I'm glad you're doing well. Like that's it. That's all I got to say.
I mean, like the 10 or so people that I hung out with when I was in high school, like I've been in a group chat with them that's been active every single day since we were like 14 years old.
Yeah.
You know, like 3 of them train at Ceres. Like they all came to my last fight. Like I don't see them that much, you know, because like especially right now, like because these past couple of months, because I'm training and then you know I'm coaching wrestling, so like my weekends are just shot. But you know they get together like every weekend or every other weekend, and normally I would be getting together too, but just like these past few months because it's been both my training camp and wrestling season, and I'm also like coaching like high school wrestling right now. So it's just
Are you coaching at your old high school?
not at my old high school, no,
Okay.
at a different high school. Ricky's high school, actually.
Where did Ricky go to high school?
Division Avenue, Levittown.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. And where did you go to high school?
Massapequa.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a Plainview guy.
Okay.
I have no idea if they have good wrestling or not.
Plainview, JFK?
Yeah.
Or Bethpage?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
They do?
They do.
Yeah, look at that. Awesome. I wanted to ask you what actually translated, obviously it's years later now, but what translated into you going from now wrestling to jiu-jitsu?
So I had known that I was gonna walk into the doors of Sarah BJJ after I was done high school wrestling. Because I'd known Ricky since I was like 13 years old. I've known Ricky almost as long as I've only been wrestling for a year longer than I've known Ricky Stam.
Okay, yeah, I know.
No.
I know who you're talking about. People have no idea who you're talking about.
Okay.
So you just brought Ricky up. So who is Ricky?
The other deaf wrestler, like the only other deaf wrestler.
Is it Ricky's deaf? I had no idea.
Not nearly as much as I am.
Okay.
But he does have hearing issues.
All right.
He has internal hearing aids.
Gotcha.
The type of hearing aids that my hearing loss is too severe for. That's why I wear the ones that you can see.
Okay.
But Ricky does have slight hearing problems. I didn't even take a sip of this.
Yeah, it's all right.
But
All right.
yeah, I've known Ricky since I was 13. At the old Levittown Sarah Academy, which is like literally around the block from the high school, from Division Avenue High School, which we both coach at now. My dad and Ricky's dad used to work together, so my dad bought me the open mats on Sundays, and Ricky would Ricky would teach me wrestling, teach me a little bit of jiu-jitsu, and that was like my first introduction to. I forgot all of the jiu-jitsu I learned, like 100% of it. I knew zero jiu-jitsu when I started again, but I had known Ricky and I had known Matt, so I had a little bit of a relationship there. And then like I just like wrestling doesn't last forever. I knew I wasn't gonna make like an Olympic team or anything like that. So I was just like, all right, when I graduate wrestling, I'm gonna start training jiu-jitsu. And I wasn't like overly serious about it. I was just like, I want to get into this. Um, and then after a little while, I was just like, all right, I'm not, I don't know why I thought I could just have a hobby. I've never been a hobby type of person in my life. I've never done anything casually in my life. So, and then I got into this MMA business.
Okay. And what was it? What were the difficulties that you experienced coming from wrestling and then trying to assimilate into jiu-jitsu? Because there are a lot of things that you do from wrestling that complement jiu-jitsu, but there's some things that you do in wrestling that don't.
Yeah. So this is where jiu-jitsu actually really made me better, just a better grappler. Well, not do I, but jiu-jitsu made my wrestling better because when you get taken down in wrestling, right, you get taken down, your opponent gets 2 points. And then if your opponent exposes your back to the mat, he gets more points. If he pins you, the match is over, right? So if you get taken down right away, you turn onto your belly, right? You give up your back.
You turtle up.
Yeah, turtle up at night. You would even be flat on your back, like flat on your stomach, and then you work back up the turtle and you try to stand up and get out. Which, by the way, I still do, right? I'll give up my back, knowing that I can defend a choke, defend a body triangle, just stand up, get back to my feet, take the guy down again, get into a better position. But jiu-jitsu helped me unlearn the habit of just accepting the takedown and going to your belly. So my scramble ability got real better. I got better at fighting through all these different positions where you kind of don't really have control, but you haven't fully been taken. You're fully not controlled either. So I learned to continue wrestling, to continue fighting through the positions, to you defend yourself from in a not so great position, but you don't automatically just accept it. So this guy's on top of me and controlling me now. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So jiu-jitsu helped me do that, right? Helped me extend the scramble, not concede the position so quickly. And the other thing is it just taught me how to calm down. Like I talked about the intensity of a wrestling room, and in wrestling, and I can say this as a high school wrestling coach, there are times when you will win a wrestling match simply by being more conditioned than the other guy. If you can go harder for 6 minutes and the other guy can't, you'll win that match, right? If you can continuously output energy longer than he can, you'll win the match. But in jiu-jitsu, that's kind of futile because, right, if I go, and I take you down, I get on top of you, and I'm shot, and I have no idea how to maintain mount, or I have no idea how to stop you from retaining your guard, and you just sweep me. Now I'm underneath you, and I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
So it's futile. So I really learned how to calm down and just kind of get into that flow state where I'm assessing and reacting, and my thinking is sharp and it's fluid, and I can still push, right? I can still put my foot down to the gas, but it's a much more relaxed throttle.
Yeah.
Right? I've learned how to be effectively aggressive.
Yeah. Controlled. You're controlled.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I've begun to, the last couple of months, I've begun to just chill a little bit more, and it has helped substantially. Being able to just I'll roll with some of the other white belts that are newer. And dude, I still have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. I know,
Right.
I willingly, openly say that, but I know more than they do on their first week. So what I find every time is just they go so crazy right out the gate, and there's a lot of times where I'll hold them in my guard. I'll just hold them there, and I'll just be like, "Yo, dude, do you see how much energy you're burning? Just chill out, relax.
Yeah,
You're going so hard, man. You're gonna just fry yourself. Just chill."
Yeah. Well, so that the ability to relax, I believe, comes from the feeling of familiarity.
Yep.
And even if you don't have to necessarily know more than somebody to know enough to be familiar with the position, right? You could be rolling with somebody who's more experienced than you. But if you can find a sense of familiarity within the position, you have an idea of what to do. And if you could take a breath and think about what you do and do it, then it just becomes less of just a physical back and forth.
Well, even the way you said it, there's been plenty of times where I've given my back up and I'm totally fine with it because I know that I'm in a better position that way than when they're trying to like attack me from an S mount or something like just before that. I'd rather just, here you go. And then they go for like to lock everything in and I can fight that off better. So it's positionally, you have to just be aware.
Okay. Okay. I was referring a little bit more to, right, but for MMA, I'm not going to be, I really don't want to be on my back with this guy on my guard.
Well, that's totally different.
Yeah, like I'm not,
MMA is totally different than just me rolling at a jiu-jitsu, Sunday
I'm not
class.
trying to make the comparison. I'm not trying to make the comparison.
No, I'm just saying.
Anyway,
I don't have to worry about a dude punching me in the face, like generally.
The whole point I was trying to get to was right. I'm not Anderson Silva here. I don't see myself, and as of right now, in terms of my skills, I don't see myself finishing a triangle off my back in a fight. I mean, I could. Like, I have an idea. I have successfully triangled people, but the point is, I'm not going to stay there underneath somebody and give them a chance to posture up and hit me. I'm sticking with what I have more experience doing, and I'm sticking with what's going to be more effective, which is I'm gonna create some space and wrestle up. But see, here's the thing. A lot of people hear wrestle up and they think like, underhook half guards, like get the single leg and start coming up with the leg. But if you just turn down and start standing up, that's exactly what wrestling from the bottom is. Just getting out when a guy's trying to hold you down.
Yeah.
So you have more challenges because this guy can put hooks in and he can strangle you. Right. But wrestling up is still very, very massive part of the jiu-jitsu game. And it's an even bigger part of the MMA game.
Yeah.
That's something that I kind of neglected for a while. And I'm glad that I neglected it because I developed some other areas of grappling by neglecting it. But as I get ready for the fight, right, I'm going to do what's going to be most effective, and I'm going to do what I do best, which is, I don't see myself, I don't want to sound overly cocky, but I don't see myself in a bad position in this fight. I see myself as the dangerous guy no matter where we go. Like, I'm so ready to fight. I'm so excited to fight. I want to fight so bad.
Okay. So for those that don't know, how long do we have until this fight?
6 days.
Next
Saturday.
So you're ready, man.
Saturday coming up.
Yeah, you're getting ready.
Yeah, like I feel like I fight once a month right now. Like I know you can't do that your whole career, but like you wrestle. Like I come from wrestling 8 matches a week, 10 matches a week.
Yeah, but striking is different now. Now we add in the effects that it's going to have when you're actually taking blows and stuff like that.
I know.
Yeah.
But like I could fight more. I could fight more than once every 4 months.
Fight once every 4 months. Take it easy. Let your body heal.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, we got to get that nose fixed. There's a lot of things we got to do.
When they bring back the MMA tournaments, I'll be the first one to sign up.
Okay. If they want to make another Never Back Down movie, I'm gonna pitch you as the main character. Okay. I got you. Now it's funny you said that you weren't ever a hobbyist, so you couldn't just join something and just sit there and do it without actually taking it to the next level. I find it very interesting that you decided to go to the MMA side of things instead of just like the ADCC or the jiu-jitsu competition side. So you had 2 routes that you could have went with this, but you went to the striking side, which you never stroked. Oof, pause. You never were a striker prior. You did wrestling. So
it just appealed to me more.
Okay. Because do you think? I mean, I would assume that you'd fare pretty well at like an 80s. It's a lot of wrestlers.
I'm sorry.
I said I feel like you would fare well at an ADCC tournament.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of wrestlers.
Yeah, I mean, I've had success competing in grappling. I haven't competed in a high level at grappling, but I won a Naga intermediate open weight tournament. Like I had like 9 matches. Guys. Like the guys I competed against weighed from like 130 to like 250. I ended up winning that bracket. That was a pretty cool experience. Got a nice little belt for it. Like, it was cool. Um, but and it is fun. Like, I would love to do that again. It just doesn't appeal to me like the way the fight does.
So what's going on in your head as you're prepping for your first fight? Let's just put it into the perspective of just like their first time ever getting ready for an actual fight where they're
So
striking.
you're asking me about like my first fight. How
Yeah, I don't need to know like the we already know the outcome, but I'm saying I want to know just like mindset because this is something that's so new to you. What was it like mentally preparing for that?
I decided that I was gonna fight late 2022, January 1st, 2023, until June 24th, 2023, which was the day of my first fight. Every single day of my life was about that fight. Like, every day was about that fight. Um, I went out with my friends on New Year's Eve, 2022. Went to the bar, had some drinks, did stupid stuff, and I was like, "All right, hard reset." Like, I know most people can't actually go out drinking and on New Year's Eve and then actually go into strictly adhering to, practices of abstaining from alcohol and keeping a clean diet. And, like, I know that strategy doesn't work for most people, but it it's one I know myself and it does work for me. Like, I can jump into something and stick with it.
Yep.
So, and I'm not saying that I was like getting drunk every weekend before that, but I was just saying, like, I had that like last hoorah. With
You
my
wanted to be
friends.
strict. You wanted to just hold yourself to a higher standard and make sure that you were ready and taking all potential variables out that could affect you negatively for the fight.
Right, right. But again, it wasn't like I made a hard lifestyle switch, right? It's not like I was like a degenerate. I was a
Oh,
degenerate.
I know what you mean.
And then, January 1st, I started living like a monk.
Yeah.
But, I had that last hoorah, and then I just, every day was just about preparing for the fight. And I fought, and I won. It was a great night. I wasn't like, at first, I wasn't like totally happy with my performance, but I was just like, I won, and it was a great night. And I went out and had a couple drinks, and I ate a ton of pizza, so much pizza. And it was that night going out was so much more, was just so much greater.
Well, you
So
felt
much
like you
more
earned it.
fun.
You earned it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I literally, the first beer I had after the fight, I said to delay gratification,
Yeah.
because it was just, and I'm looking forward to doing that again for this fight, right?
Now, did you change anything that you were doing on the daily from your camp from the first fight to now the second fight that you did?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Definitely as I get deeper into this, more and more striking, right? So my first camp was about, it was like, look, we're not going to be standing with this guy. We're going to take this guy down. We have to make sure we have the tools on the ground to win this fight on the ground.
Get up on that mic. You're sitting back.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no,
sorry.
you good. You good.
It was like, I knew that first fight going in, I knew that I couldn't just kick this guy down and let him up. I knew that if I took him down, I had to have the tools to win the fight on the ground. So that's what it was about for me. It was like almost treating it like a jiu-jitsu match. Obviously I was working my striking, but it was just about setting up that first takedown, and it was just about protecting myself.
Yeah.
I wasn't going out there trying to knock anybody out. Second fight, same philosophy, but starting to grow into the striking a little bit more, just trying to level up my striking. This fight, so much kickboxing sparring. So much kickboxing sparring. And
now who do you have helping you out with all of this?
so I got Colombo. Colombo's the best. She's a great coach. She's helped me come far. She's helped me believe in myself. I've had the steamroller, Favola, holding pads for me. He's been helping me out a lot. Between those two and Matt, obviously. Matt with the famous right hand that put down GSP.
Yeah.
Listen, as a short, stocky Italian guy that likes to grapple, I couldn't have a better coach.
It's a good team right there.
Yeah. But, no, for real, Colombo has helped me level up my striking like this whole time. It's just been about every fight, getting better and exploring more options, and starting to look at striking, look at boxing, look at kickboxing, the way I look at wrestling as systematic, And then Favola's been doing some pad sessions with me this camp, and they've been huge. Like, I feel like I really find my groove when I work with him. And Marcus, Marcus with that beautiful head kick in his last fight.
God, the iron shin. The iron shin.
Yeah, we know Marcus can strike. And especially because Marcus is a little lighter than me. So that, like if we're moving around and he kicks me in the head or he lands a shot, like it's not gonna drop me onto the floor. Like, and we don't spar like that with each other. Like when we spar, it's one thing, but when we get in the gym and we start moving around and throwing shots, it's another thing,
Yeah.
You have to. This is something like you can roll hard without trying to hurt somebody, right? You have to. It's much more difficult to do, but you can do that in striking. Just, you have to really have a good relationship with that person. That's something I have with Marcus. So doing those rounds with Marcus and Joey Beans, while he can dismantle anybody on the ground, has been putting on his gloves and his shin guards a lot lately. And him and Marcus have been getting in there, moving around a lot. And doing that with those two guys has helped me level up my striking. Just feeling comfortable standing in the pocket and trading shots, And Columbo is a coach and Bull holding pads. And obviously Matt is a coach. It's just all...
The pieces are coming together.
Yeah, it's coming together.
That's what it is.
There's a part of me that wants to, not even take this guy down. There's a part of me that wants to get this guy up against the fence and just boom, 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 boom.
Well, do you feel like that, especially in your last fight, it was a lot of grappling? Do you a lot of ground game? Do you feel like, people that are looking at you and seeing your background, they're just going to expect all grappling and you want to almost mix it up on them?
I mean, I didn't really give a shit, to tell you the truth. Can I curse? We can curse on here.
Yeah, you can curse. I don't give a shit.
I didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
We're in a fight. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win this. I'm gonna take you down. I'm gonna hold you down, and you can't stop me. And that's exactly what happened in my last fight.
Yep.
Yeah, this guy, the last guy I fought was like, he was lanky. He was, if Marcus was 170, like, this guy would have like that, like this guy had those dimensions. That's not a guy that I want to stand and trade shots with. Like, he landed like 3 punches. One of them broke my nose. So like I wasn't trying to stand and trade shots with this guy. This guy's background, like he didn't have. I'm not saying he had an extensive of a kickboxing or boxing background as I had a wrestling background, but his background was kickboxing. There's that classic grappler versus striker matchup.
Yeah. You kept taking him down with ease, man. It looked pretty easy from everyone watching.
Yeah, I mean, if you can time your level changes and your takedowns with someone who's standing up and throwing strikes, it's very difficult for them to sprawl. It's not like a wrestling match or a grappling match where we're both, like, where we're both grappling each other, right? If, you're trying to hit me, right, and I'm moving around, I'm working my feet, I'm working my level changes, I'm working my fakes, and I time my takedowns with when you're backing out or coming in on a strike. It's very difficult for you to get that sprawl going. Very difficult for you to transition into the wrestling, right? Obviously, high level, like good MMA fighters can do that, but this guy, and I think if this guy, that guy fought my last fight, Darius Lancaster, I think he's a good kickboxer. I think if he keeps training and he learns some wrestling, man, I think that guy could be a dangerous dude. Maybe I'll see that guy again in the future. I don't know. I mean, like, I wish him like good luck and good things on his path, but like, I believe that the lack of well-roundedness was kind of apparent there. And I mean, look, the lack of well-roundedness was apparent there for me. Like, I couldn't stand and hit this guy. But what I could do was, move my head and...
bob and weave a little bit. Level changes, do you think?
Yeah, time my takedowns, right? And then as my striking continues to level up, the timing and the defensive movements and the takedowns are only getting better. So I'm excited. I feel and especially now, because the first 2 fights, right? That's the other thing. The first 2 fights were under the novice MMA rules. That's the way it has to be in New York State. So I wasn't allowed to ground pound, right? I could only hit him in the body. And I mean, you have a little bit of experience here in Jiu Jitsu. how effective do you think holding how effectively do you think you could hold someone down if you could posture up and hit them, but you could only hit them in the chest?
Yeah.
Like, it's just not that effective.
Yeah.
You know? But
And how much are those shots actually doing? I mean,
not
some
a
of
lot.
them. I mean, if you're hitting them in the liver, I mean, maybe, but
Yeah. But it's difficult to put power into that.
yeah, especially when you're
To the
like that,
liver.
yeah.
Punch somebody in the face. We've got a different story going
Yeah.
on here.
There's only so many strikes you could take before you start slowing down a little bit. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, now that I've got ground and pound in this fight, and I've been training my ground and pound, been training my striking on the floor, training my kickboxing, been training my wrestling, been training my jiu-jitsu, like just doing everything. Like, I really feel dangerous everywhere, and that's what you should be as an MMA fighter.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you should be. Well, that's the whole point. Mixed martial arts. You need to be well rounded.
Yeah,
You have to have a little bit of everything, and there you can have your strong background in one particular area of whether that is wrestling, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, Muay Thai, whatever it might be. You have your strength there, but you still have to have all the other pieces.
Combat sambo, like the daggies.
Yeah, something crazy. I send you those videos. I'm like, how do I do this? How do I train like this?
Yeah, but nah, man,
Let's do the noon class like that. Let's do it like a wrestling room, or in the middle of Russia.
Oh, that's great.
I do want to ask, like, where's this path go? Like, what do you see in the future?
Well, what do I see in the future?
Yeah, are you trying to go to the UFC? Are you trying to do, because I don't know the goal.
I mean, like, I want to be a world champion.
Okay.
I want to be a world champion. Can't be. I don't believe you can be getting locked in a cage to fight somebody if you don't want to take it to the highest level.
I don't know. There's some sick fucks. There's some sick fucks that just like to just do shit.
Yeah,
But outliers. I'm not gonna say that's the majority of human beings, but there's some outliers that just like to do crazy shit. And
yeah, you're right. But I'm not in this like as an adrenaline junkie. Like I want to, like I do love this like process, and I want to take this as far as I can get it. Like I said, world champion. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be the UFC. Like, obviously that's coveted. Like, that's special. There's just something about the word UFC champion because of the world we live in, and because of the influence that Dana White and the UFC has. Like, there's just something about that just kind of in the eyes of the world.
Yeah, there's an allure to it. There's a big allure to it.
But if I'm in a position where I can be fighting professionally and making a great living doing it, then I'm happy. Absolutely.
Cool.
Like Bellator, PFL, something new that comes up, man. If there's a big old check with my name on it, and I get to do my favorite thing in the world, then then that's why I want to take this.
Cool.
But like, this is like the process of this. I've learned to love it so much from wrestling. I hated it when I was in high school. Hated it. But I've learned to just love this grind. And I say this to everybody. If I won the lotto, if I got 50 grand, if I got, what is it? What is this? 52 weeks in a year. If I got $2 grand a month, $2 grand a week, every day for the rest of my life. Like, I would never have to like worry about necessities, about a roof over my head. I would never have to worry about that again. I do exactly what I'm doing right now. So that being said, why not take this to the most successful path I possibly can? That being said, I also kind of just want to add a little bit of something onto that. 99% of me is like good vibes. Like, I pride myself on being like a kind and positive person. I think that's who I am. But
I'd agree. I don't have people I don't like on the show. So yeah,
fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. But like, and I hope, I don't really think there's a way to say this that doesn't come across as cocky, but I'm just going to say it anyway. And I really don't think it's cocky, but I know it comes across as cocky, which is I've just never really met anybody that's had something bad to say about me. Like, I really believe that I put good energy into people's lives, and I only look to have good relationships with people. Like, I never really, I've never like gone out to try to put somebody down, or I just try to, anybody that tries to be friendly to me, I try to be friendly back to them,
Yeah.
That's just the way I go about it. But that being said, like I do have like that. There's that. And there's that whatever inside of me that just wants to like stand in that octagon. You know, Joe Rogan on the mic, belt over the shoulder, sold out arena, millions of people on TV, and just be like, I, everybody who looked past me, everybody who didn't believe in me, like I'm the man. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Now I don't bring that like into my relationships with people. You know.
Well, not in your relationships with people, but I would definitely keep, there seems to be some type of like a chip, which is okay. That's all right. Because the world isn't nice to everybody. And you're not going to always have positive experiences from everybody else. You can emit that energy of positivity to everybody, but it doesn't mean that you're going to get reciprocated. So if you feel that way and you do feel like, you've been slighted in certain ways or things haven't always gone the way that you were anticipating it to, or you have to have the Tom Brady chip. The Tom Brady chip is well regarded in you hold that 199th, like the least picked person, and he's the world champion time and time again. Yeah. But he plays like he still has that chip on his shoulder. Sometimes you have to have that.
Yeah.
So, that's what that can drive somebody way further than just the motivation to be something. Yeah. That could be the motivation to prove some other people wrong, the motivation to show that you have something that these other people didn't think that you have. Sometimes that is even more of the igniting fluid that you need to just propel yourself into like the cosmos.
And the funny thing is, I don't even know who, right? I don't even know who I'm directing that at, but there's just like I have an arrogance about me.
But there's continual life. We all do though. That's the point of just like the human psyche and ego and whatnot. We all have dual sides to all of us. Whether we show all of those sides, some people show every side of themselves. Yeah. Some people only show one side. So I would say that, we all have that dormant, I'm the fucking man built into all of us. And if it takes winning a world championship for that to come out for a few, I mean, no one would slight you. No one would blame you. People would be like, yo, man, doing your fucking thing. Let's go. But I will also say on the other side of things, it's like we can also emit such positivity and good vibes and be nice to everybody that we see, but we can still be the enemy in someone else's story.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure.
In someone else, listen, man, I'm pretty fair. I'm a down to earth dude. I've been told that time and time again. I appreciate when people tell me these things and they like to be around me and they like to come on the show and sit and talk and hang out, because listen, if you didn't like me, you wouldn't come and sit down either. So it's vice versa type of situation. But in someone's story, at least one person on this planet, I'm the villain in that story.
Yeah.
It happens.
I had an experience like that, actually. I did. I had an experience like that. Like this brought up a memory I forgot I had, but this kid, I mean, again, not gonna bring a name up, but somebody I knew from like middle school, regardless of like who he is and what his life is like now, was friends with somebody I was friends with, like later on in life, and apparently I had made a comment about this kid's acne without even realizing it. Like I was just apparently just like bantering. And like I thought I was just like breaking his job. So like I don't even remember saying it. But like I said something about this kid's acne. And like 5 years later, this kid told a common friend about the thing that I said. And like, it just made me feel terrible. Like I never even realized I said, I never remembered saying it. I never intentionally wanted to say that and like put somebody down like that. I felt really bad when I heard that story. I was like kind of shocked. But like that actually really taught me like how much effect what you say to people has. Like,
yeah, man. Every experience, just like the kid fucking with your hearing aids.
Yeah.
Just like that kid. You don't hate the kid, but you remember it. You remember that shit.
Yeah.
That made you feel a certain way. And you remember that.
Yeah.
And it's not that you're sitting here and you're punching the bag, reciting that kid's name every punch. But I mean, shit like that, you've experienced things over the years with the hearing impairment, with just like switching sports and, things. We absorb all of these experiences that we go through in life. And whether we want to admit it or not, at times they affect us. And it's not always positive. A lot of times it can be negative.
Yeah.
And we have to just take those negative parts of our that we hate and the things that we can't stand, and we have to channel them to just continue to do what we want to do and whatever our mission is.
Right.
You know, I talk a lot about my first bodybuilding coach. He is a guy that I will never put his name on the air because the people that know me know who he was.
Okay.
He was a dirtbag human being. Tried to get me to take tons of PEDs before I was doing my prep. Just a shit of a human being. I don't like him. And as I moved on to a different coach, I totally forgot, mentally him, but I always kept that in the back of my mind, just like the things that he would say to me to try to get me to take the steroids. Well, it's a chemical warfare out there. Are you really going to be able to compete? And this and that, like all this negative shit. Bro, just write my meal plan, big me up, because I'm paying you and I'm your athlete. And just be like, hey, Nick, you're doing great, man. I know you want to be natural. It's not the way that, it normally goes in this federation, but it's cool, dude. Like, I respect that you're doing your thing. Because he couldn't do that, that left a chip on my shoulder. And because of how the relationship ended in the long run. So it's like these people, these experiences, we remember all these things. And instead of just like harping on names and individuals as a whole, it's the feeling of when he didn't show up to my show after I prepped for 23 weeks with him.
Yeah.
Didn't show up the day of my show. I remember that feeling for the rest of my life. So it's like, I take that and I work harder and I do my thing. He's not ruining my day. I'm not sitting here going, every bite of food, motherfucker. I'm not doing like that. But like, I remember that feeling and I just go, I got to work hard. I got to keep going. And that's really what, motivation is fleeting. That's one of the quotes that I like.
Yeah,
motivation is fleeting.
Yep.
That's when discipline takes over.
Oh, absolutely.
So you stay disciplined, you stay doing your thing, just like you, getting ready for that fight from January to June. That's a long camp, man. Yeah. But you wanted to be ready. This was you. You had to be in that zone, and that's what helped you excel and win that first one. Right. Whether you enjoyed the performance or not. It was still the first time you ever did it. You got the jitters out. You felt, and now your second one, and now there's gonna be your third one. So it's like getting into that uncomfortable state, having that door locked behind you when the octagon closes in. It's time. Like I've been here before. I'm good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's cool.
I try to remind myself that every time I spar, actually, like just doing the thing you do every week.
That's it.
Just doing the thing you've done 100 times before at this point.
Did you ever see the movie Gray Man?
Who?
Gray Man.
Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah. No, it's not Ryan Reynolds. It's
no, Ryan Gosling.
Yes, Gosling. Thank you. Yeah, one of them Ryans. One of them Ryans.
That's the one where he's 6, right?
Yes.
Yes. I love that movie.
It's a great movie. But remember what he says when the girl's like freaking out and this and that, and she's like, "No, come." At the end of the movie, she's like, "No, come with me," and he just looks at her and he goes, "It's a regular Thursday."
Oh yeah,
he's about to fight the other one. I forget.
I like that
too. Captain America, whatever.
I watch that movie again.
Yeah, it's fire movie. But that's the point. It's just another Thursday.
Nice job with that reference.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna watch that at home. You're gonna be sitting there in the living room. You're like, "Oh, let's go."
Yeah, I always try to vibe with the music when we're sparring. Like, I try to dance, like keep it playful.
Rhythm. It's all rhythm. It's all, movement patterns and whatnot. That all helps.
Yeah. Yeah, but just, if I get tense and I just go like, I just start going, I gotta take him down. I gotta take him down. That's when nothing happens. But when you're just, you're relaxed.
Yeah.
Boom, boom. That's
but it takes the time that you've put in to get to the
relaxed absolutely. Stage. The more you do
if they throw me in an MMA cage this coming weekend, I mean, I'm like, okay, sure, and I'll be freaking out. I'll be like, oh God, he's coming. He's gonna be hitting me right in my face. And it's like I haven't been there before. Yeah. But as you you make your bones and you do your thing in the sport, you become more and more comfortable.
Right. Yeah. Matt. Sarah always says we say this to each other.
Shouts to Matt Sarah and all of his espresso shots.
Yes. Oh yeah, he made a comment about that the other day.
Yeah, he was like, "I'm 4 in. It's like 7 a.m. Matt. What are you talking about?"
Yeah. Oh, that dude. I have seen that man down an energy drink, and then he's got a cup of coffee in his hand, like literally, like 10 minutes later.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a character, man. I remember watching him years and years ago, and I had actually I came to the school in Huntington. This has to be in like 2007. Whenever they opened they just opened up in Huntington.
Okay.
Anyway, I came through, and I think it was his brother that actually gave me like my first introductory lesson.
Okay.
and you just gave me an intro lesson, and I wasn't ready for it yet. I wasn't in the mindset. I was a younger kid. I just wasn't. I saw him fighting in the UFC, so I was just like, oh, I want to do that stuff.
Yeah.
That's when I met around the same time Slim. That's when I met Joe.
Okay.
So it was like around that time, and he was telling me he was going to start getting ready for fights. He wanted to fight and this and that. But it's funny, like when I walked in May, he was behind the desk, Matt. And I walked in and I was like, hey, what's going on, guys? He's like, hey, what's up, man? I'm Matt. I said, yeah, I know who you are. I was like, yeah, I know who you are. And he's like, what's your name? And I told him, I said, yeah, man, I just want to see if this is something that I could give a try and see. And that was it. I ordered my gi. I said, once my gi comes in from Origin, shouts to Origin. I said, once I get this gi to come in, I said, that's it. I'm literally going that day to sign up for the year, at least. I'm at least committing to a year. And that was it. I was rolling like 5 days a week.
Nice.
Yeah. Little injuries here and there, especially in the beginning. And then that's it, man.
That's how I felt when I first started doing jiu-jitsu with Ricky when I was younger. I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I remember when I first started, I was like, fuck, I wish I like picked this up when I was younger. Like, I wish I really got into it, found the groove when I was younger. But we said you just weren't ready for it at the time.
Yeah, I don't think that my path was at that point yet.
Yeah.
And I,
Way to put it.
all signs pointed to bodybuilding.
Okay.
Which once again goes back into the status of kind of how we started this episode, which was if you didn't do the wrestling and you didn't transition, we wouldn't be sitting here talking. It'd be the same thing if I didn't get into the bodybuilding world and do my shows and then buy a camera and start doing content and do the podcast based off of that and then segue out of bodybuilding, but still obviously doing the show and shooting for a Rain and all these other brands. I wouldn't be sitting here doing this. Yeah. So it's crazy how all of your experiences through life bring you to these points of, two people just flying through the galaxy, intersecting at a given time point.
Right.
It's cool.
I mean, you talked about the chip on the shoulder, right? I had that chip on my shoulder because I didn't accomplish like really much of anything in wrestling. Like when I was in high school, I kind of just went through wrestling, and I didn't really start. Like, even though I got into it, like, I didn't really start putting in the level of effort that's required to be successful amongst, like, because, and I tell this to the kids I coach all the time, wrestlers work harder than anybody else. Like, the guys that wrestle during the season and take it seriously, like, just your average varsity wrestler, like, they work harder than anybody else. No doubt in my mind about that. But so does every other wrestler, right? So other than the unathletic kids or the kids that aren't from like good schools, yeah, you can beat those guys up. But like if you want to beat up, like just for example, if you're gonna separate yourself from the rest of the pack, you need to do what no one else is willing to do, right? And that's how, like I talked about the competition in the wrestling room, how we push each other and make each other better. That happens throughout Nassau County, throughout Long Island, throughout New York State, right? We're doing sprints in the room over at Massapequa. They're doing sprints in the room over at Wantagh. We're doing sprints in the room over at Division. They're doing sprints in the room over at Plainez, right? It's just everybody's trying to outwork everybody else, and that elevates the community as a whole. That's what's so great about it.
Yeah.
But me personally, I didn't really understand the level of commitment and the level of work ethic required to be at the level of the goals that I wanted to achieve until I was like a senior in high school with a month to go before wrestling season was over. And at that time, I had no intentions of wrestling in college. I was going to go to St. John's and go to law school. That's what that was
going to be my other question. If you weren't fighting in the MMA type scenarios now and trying to push for a career in that, what would you be doing?
Well, can we like jump back to that in like a second?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I want to say, and to double back around, because I like that question. I have a good answer for it, but I want to make sure I get back to my original point here before I answer.
Drive the point home, baby. Drive it home.
All right. I got that chip on my shoulder because I didn't achieve what I wanted to achieve in wrestling, and that's what made me want to wrestle in college. Right when I finally put that effort in for like 3 or 4 weeks as a senior in high school and saw the difference and how far I had come. That's when I really got hooked. That's what made me change my decision of where I wanted to go to college, go to Post, wrestle there. That's what drove me through college wrestling. That's where that chip came from, where like all those other kids I wrestled in high school that thought they were that like, that used to like kind of mess with me, that acted like they were better than me, that kind of like put me down. I just always wanted to like be all county and prove them wrong, and I never did that. So then I was like, all right, I'm gonna wrestle in college. I'm gonna be like, I want to be like I want to be an All-American. I want to be a national qualifier. I want to prove them wrong. Like, I want to be the guy that never qualified for states but qualified for the NCAA tournament. I didn't do that. I'm fighting in a cage. But
That's okay. But how hard is that to accomplish?
no, I mean, I have a really good relationship with the guy who was my JV wrestling coach. Shout out to Coach Solomon, man. That dude, in terms of like, when I talked about that level up and that I made in those few weeks, it's because that guy got a hold of me and made sure that I didn't graduate high school without leaving everything I had from that point, like in January to the season ended. He made sure that I didn't walk away without giving it everything I had from that point forward. But you can't get the time back. But he made sure that from that point forward, I gave it everything I had. I would always speak with him throughout my college wrestling career. Spoke with him before and after my fights. Came to my second fight, actually. Made me very happy to see him there. And I actually sat down with him when I went to give him his ticket. Sat down with him before the second fight. He told me, so many wrestlers think about doing what you've done. You've done it. You're doing it, That was really cool to hear. And yeah, it's definitely like your wrestling skills, like there are a bunch of wrestlers that could like be where I'm at right now in terms of like winning 1 or 2 fights, but I know that nobody's training the way I'm training and living the lifestyle I'm living. So that's where I get like that's where I start to, puff my chest out a little bit. I take pride in that.
Well, listen here at the, when it comes down to it in a fighting sport, in a combat sport, people want to take you off the pedestal. They got to come get it.
So one time, I'm sorry.
I said, if somebody wants to take you off the pedestal in a fighting sport, they got to come get it. So if they see you doing your thing day in and day out, or they have something to say about it,
right?
All right, come get it.
Yeah,
I'm doing my thing, man. I'm working at every opportunity I have, and there's every opportunity in their book to work towards what you're doing. Right. So we could always meet in the cage. You could always do it. If you think that I'm not working hard, or you think that I'm doing something that I shouldn't be, that's okay. We could have it all settled up and sign up for the next tournament. But most of the people that talk like that, they won't.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
I hear you.
You mopping what I'm dropping?
A little bit.
Yeah. You picking up what I'm putting down?
Mopping what you're dropping.
Yeah. And when were you in high school? Was that like a week ago? How old are you? I forget. How old are you again?
How old am I?
Yeah.
I'm 23.
Oh yeah, you baby. Yeah, you're 23 years old.
Mopping what I'm dropping.
I got almost 10 years on you, bro. That's why you got to go easy when we roll together. You got to go easy on your elders. Don't hurt me.
Okay.
I'm old I'm old and fragile.
I really did not know that you were. Well, you're 32, right?
I'm 32.
I had no idea you were 30. I thought we were like the same age.
Thank you. Do you see how he makes me blush like this on a podcast? Oh my God.
Please don't ever do that again.
Well, I can't grapple, so you're not going to get me on the map. So leave me alone.
No, seriously, I thought you were like 26.
Thank you.
Okay.
I got my grandmother is 93.
Okay.
And she still it's old, but she still looks like she's in her like 70s. It's crazy. So I'm attributing my fountain of youth gene to my grandmother.
Okay. Shout out grandma.
Shout out grandma. Shout out Mama Riz. Shout out Mama Rizzles, and shout out your pops, who I fucking love.
Yeah.
I love you.
Dude, talk about a great guy.
I love your dad, man. He's awesome. I had no idea he was your dad. No clue.
Yeah,
I had no clue.
A lot of people have said that.
No clue. I was rolling with him in the beginner class. We're like hanging. Every time I see him, I'm like, "How you feeling, big guy?" Like hugging him. He's great. And then I saw him. He followed me on Instagram, and I saw it. I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
I said, "No way."
Yeah. I mean, dude.
Good soul, man. Just a good soul.
Talk about being a 50-year-old white belt, dude. That's I really admire him.
Tough as nails, man. He's a tough dude.
I'm so happy he started training. I really admire him for doing it. I'm gonna call him out publicly right now. I was hoping that when he started training, that would get him to quit smoking cigarettes. So maybe he will.
He still hasn't quit?
He's been on and off.
Every time I see him now, I'm gonna be like, "Hey, Pa, come on, man.
Yeah.
Yo, come on."
But well, I just put him down a little bit, so let me build him back up. Seriously though, like being a 50-year-old white belt, man, that is like that takes guts, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't imagine walking into the gym like at 50 years old, never having like wrestled or doing anything, and seeing this and being like, yeah, let me get my ass handed to me, and then like come back the next day and do it.
You've
You know?
motivated it. You've inspired him, man.
What's up?
I'm sure you've played some role in that. You've inspired him.
Yeah. I don't want to. Yeah, you're probably
Yeah,
right.
bro, take it. Take that. That's awesome, man. You know, I've had people tell me that I've inspired them in certain ways to do, you know, certain habits or kick things and this and that.
Yeah.
Dr. Scott over with Nick and everybody.
Yeah.
He told me he stopped drinking. I mean, I haven't drank since March of last year. So it's like I've had a lot of people contact me saying just because you gave up alcohol, it actually motivated me and inspired me to do it. So you know, you got to take those flowers. You got to take that merit and be like, yo, I'm happy that I can instill some, you know, inspiration in others.
He's told me before that and when he watches this, because I know that as soon as this comes out, it's gonna be playing over, like he's gonna airplay this on the TV like for 6 hours, just over and over again.
It's awesome.
So I already know that this is gonna be playing in my living room. But he said this to me before. He said that it's not an exact quote, but he said that it's a really insane thing when your son is your hero. Like he's called me his hero.
That's awesome.
And that is awesome. But like he's mine, you know?
Yeah.
Like my dad's super dad. My parents split up, you know, and I'm not here. I don't want to weigh in too much about the details of that. But long story short, like my dad raised 3 kids by himself.
I mean, I have no siblings. My mom raised me by herself. Single mom since I was 2. So yeah.
Like, and he was still working at first. When they first, you know, split up. So like it was tough on him. My grandparents helped out a lot, but just I'm not gonna act like I come from an impoverished background. I'm not gonna act like I have like a ghetto gangster grow up. I'm not. I told you I live in Massapequa.
Yeah, but it wasn't all sunshine. It wasn't all sunshine and flowers every single day.
Yeah, no, I come from the mean streets of West Massapequa.
Woo! Nobody mess with him. Don't mess with him. Don't even look at him wrong.
Seriously though, like my dad always made sure that we never went without. Like that was always his priority. He was always, and the reason I brought up that whole impoverished background thing is like it's not like we were in a situation where he didn't eat so we could eat, but like that essence, that philosophy was always there for him. Like
he would have done anything he would have done anything for his kids.
Yes, yeah. Like, and he embodied, like, not just like, you know, that's how he felt. Like that's the way he acted. That's always the way he did.
But that also rubs off on you because that's how you've become the man that you are today. For real.
Yeah.
All of your experiences,
no,
all of the experiences, seeing your dad do his thing, the respect that you guys have for one another, you know, the hero, you're my hero, I'm your hero, like going back and forth. That's admirable. That's awesome. And that has sculpted you into this man that sits before me. That's what it is, man. Yeah. So with that, and if things weren't that way and things were, it might not be the same way. The way that you've developed and your personality might not be what it is today. So, you know, he's helped shape you into that person, and that's amazing.
Absolutely. I mean, it sounds corny to say, but like, I love my dad.
It does not. It does not sound corny. And anybody that thinks that sounds corny needs to reevaluate their relationship with themselves and their parents. I mean, I love my mom. My mom would have done, and still to this day, does anything I can potentially ever need. Yeah. Anytime I need help with the dog, anytime I have life advice, anytime I need, she's there. I mean, my mom is one of my best friends, if not the best friend. I love my mom. And she was on the podcast. Yeah. So it's just good vibes, man.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. I was going to say, she was on the podcast. I mean, I want to show my mom it because she's such an amazing, strong woman. And without her, I wouldn't be the way I am.
Very easy to take that for granted too.
Yep.
So easy to take that for granted. Like sometimes I hear, sometimes I just talk to people, some friends too, and like I had a friend who described a situation where she was just so worried about her future, and like she still lived with her parents, but like her parents helping her out just wasn't something that she ever considered. Like, you know, um, again, I don't really know how to continue talking about this without getting into details. My whole point is
You
that
don't have
it's
to.
like,
You don't have to. You're good. There's no details that we need. All the only detail that we need is that Pops is the shit.
Yeah.
We love Dad. I love my mom, and that's all that matters.
yeah, man.
I actually want to ask you. So let's transition real quick. I want to ask you if you have any advice for any other athletes that may have hearing impairments or any disabilities that are looking to get into combat sports. Is there any advice that you can give them? Anything like that?
Yeah. Actually, I got a kid over at we got a kid over at Division, Caden. He's a little bit hard hearing too.
Okay.
So we got Ricky, we got Caden, we got me. We got the trio there, man.
Yeah.
So I posted a picture on Instagram with the three of us, going like this. It was awesome. But it's so funny because I break his balls the way that I used to get my balls broken, but like now it actually comes from a place of like
you're toughening that iron skin, man. But but I'm sure he's happy that you guys can relate.
Yeah, but and my brother, my brother is hard of hearing too. Like,
oh, really?
My sister too. Yeah. So my mom.
So it's genetically.
Yeah. So my mom originally had hearing issues, right? And my brother, my sister, and I were all born with it.
Gotcha.
Okay, I got to bring that up earlier on.
Yeah. Okay. I had no idea.
Yeah, but so like my brother says this all the time, that when he studies, right? My brother was a wrestler too, by the way. But my brother, when he studies, takes his hearing aids out, he's locked in.
Oh, it's probably awesome.
Like no distraction.
Oh man.
Like when you might have witnessed this, but like on the mats, like if someone is calling me over from the other side of the mats, like I don't get their attention. They start, they start banging on the mat to like get me to turn around. But yeah, like dude, I lock in. It was difficult at first because like when a practice is going on, you don't have your hearing aids in. You miss some things, or it's hard to follow along. Sometimes you don't make the mid-match adjustments. Did I freak him out when I banged?
Yeah, you were banging on the door. It's okay.
Sorry.
It's okay, Kenj.
I'm sorry, buddy.
It's okay. He's good.
Like it's hard to make those mid-match adjustments. Right?
Yeah.
As a coach, there have been times when I yell out something, the kid does it right away and it works. Like it's not a major thing, but when you're like 14, you just started wrestling, you don't really know.
Yeah.
Doing one small thing changes everything. You know, that was something I missed out on a little bit. But then I kind of learned to rely on myself a little bit more. But I was able to lock in, and I'm making this about myself a little bit. But the whole
but that's what I'm asking. I'm asking what light can you shed on
the piece
for
of
others?
advice I would give is never be afraid to speak up and say when you're gonna hear something, man. Ask them to repeat it a million fucking times. Doesn't matter, right? Just because you have a hard time hearing doesn't mean that you're inconvenient. Like, so all right, maybe you are inconveniencing somebody by having them repeat it. I don't give a shit. You have as much of a right to hear it and learn the information as everybody else. You know, so speak up when you don't hear something. Make the extra effort, right? If you're being a little shithead and you don't pay attention in practice, and then you don't hear something and you use that as an excuse,
different story.
Yeah, but coach is gonna have no problem repeating himself or showing something again when he knows that you're working and you're trying. You make that extra effort, So,
and if he does have a problem with that, get a new coach.
Yeah. No, but like seriously, speaking from both sides of it, right? As a coach, I love when kids just are invested. And when I can sense that a kid cares and wants it and he puts effort into it, then everything changes for me. Because now I know that I'm putting into something that's going to be received. As opposed to just, you kind of have to filter your information a little bit when you're talking generally. Because you have to make sure that you're not losing people,
Yeah.
You have to keep it short and sweet and simple sometimes. But when you have a kid that you know is going to lock in on the details, you can ramble all you want because he's going to pick those details up.
Yeah.
To get back to the piece of advice I would give is that speak up, whenever you need something. Go that extra mile. But like also, we live in reality, right? People aren't going to cater to you. We still live in the real world. You got to take responsibility for yourself. You need to make that extra effort. Make no mistake, you have a disability. right? Not the special, like everybody's special, differently abled bullshit. You have a disability, right? This is reality. You need to make up for it. You need to put that extra effort in, get after it. And then the other thing is, I would say, is the piece of advice I got from my brother, where you can use that to really lock in and get in the zone, right? There's no distractions. If, like, specifically, if we're talking about hearing, tune everything else out, put your head down, and just fucking go forward.
Just keep trucking.
Yeah. Keep on. I fucked it up.
I had some notes about
Main Street.
What is he saying?
I'm gonna try it in New York. It's on. I'm singing trucking.
Trucking?
Yeah, because I fucked the song. Right, Grateful Dead. Trucking.
I haven't heard it.
Are you serious?
It's dead serious. We're gonna play it after we're done.
By the Grateful Dead.
No, I don't listen to the Grateful Dead.
Yeah, but like that's like the one song everybody knows.
I've probably heard it then.
I went to singing and I fucked it up. Now that's what we were laughing about.
Oh, okay. I was just laughing because you were singing. I was gonna say stick to MMA.
All right, whatever. You literally said just keep trucking on. That's the line.
I was just saying just keep trucking on. That's just a thing.
It's over. It's over.
Oh my God. I had, a bunch of notes that we honestly covered everything. We did have a couple of your topics, the art of self-belief, which we did start with. You did talk about that a little bit.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Some of the stuff that you wanted to talk about was the art of self-belief.
Yeah, we talked about that.
We talked about that in the beginning. The Long Island wrestling dads. You didn't bring that up.
No.
What is that?
Could be a reality show.
That's what I was about to ask.
Could be a reality show.
You said you sent me these topics and Long Island wrestling dads, and I went, oh, what does that mean?
You know the reality show Dance Moms?
No.
Okay, it's basically just like
it's like the little girls that do the pageants, like the crazy moms.
Yeah. This is the dad's version of it.
It's just crazy sport parents.
Yeah, but like I feel that it's really prevalent in wrestling. A lot of people try to live vicariously through their kids.
Oh yeah.
Are
there a lot of ex-wrestlers that their kids are wrestling now?
Yeah, I think so. Like I see kids like yelling. Like I see parents that come to practices and yell at their kids like during the practice. Like like that doesn't happen anymore. Like at the club I coach at, because we don't want our parents in the room anymore, which is thank God.
It's different if you're bigging your kid up and you're just like, yeah, let's get it. Come on, let's keep going. But I'm sure they're yelling like psychos.
Yeah, but it's just like, look, I can only describe my own experience, but my dad never wrestled. My dad only gave me positive reinforcement when it came to wrestling. But all I can say is I was so hard on myself. Like I really hated myself when things weren't working out for me. And the last thing that I needed was my dad fucking like putting me down.
Yeah.
When I was like really hating myself, maybe it would have like pushed me, but I don't think that would have bred like good feelings and a good relationship with the sport,
Well, yeah, once again, words of encouragement and cheering on for somebody or giving, positive vibes if it didn't go hey, it's okay, buddy, you got him next time, this and that, versus the psychotic yelling of, come on, get off your back, like that type of shit is probably not helping anybody when they're in the heat of battle.
Well, it's just like there are parents that like yell over the coach in the middle of a match, and it's just like, let me give you an example. So yesterday I was at a high school wrestling tournament, coaching a high school wrestling tournament, and the other kids were watching because it's a tournament, not everybody wrestles at the same time. Like, you get called up or whatever. But the other kids were there when one of their teammates were wrestling. And since I was the only coach there for a few hours, right, there's usually 2 chairs in the corner. So I sit down, one of the kids would sit next to me. And then I always tell them, like shut up, like before the match started. Like, because especially like when you have like beginner wrestlers, like I said before, you tell them one thing, and if they hear it and do something right away, that could completely change the match. So it's very important that like they can hear me and listen to me. At least I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, I would hope so. That's why you're a coach.
Yeah, But anyways, like yesterday, the kids, like I was trying to tell one of these kids who was wrestling something. Then the other kids started yelling up, and I was like, I just like turned. I was like, shut up. Like, I have no problem with you cheering him on, but like right now I'm trying to communicate to him something and you're blocking me out noise-wise,
Yeah.
And it's just like regardless of what the parents are saying, like, especially with the club setting, right? I coach for Savage Wrestling Academy. That's the club I work for. The guy who runs that, Justin Accordino, he's a Division I All-American. He's like a 3-time Pennsylvania state champ. He's one of the best wrestling coaches I know. Like, you pay good money for your kid to come here to this club, and then you yell, go to a tournament and you yell over him. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
No sense.
I don't have kids, obviously. I have a dog, Mr. Kenji. I can't imagine the stress of like your kid competing in a high stakes moment like that.
Yeah, of course I got
But you have to have that realization that the coach is the coach for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, I shoot videos for a living and do podcasts. Like, that's what I do. He does the coaching. Let him deal with all of that because they know better than I do.
Right.
But, there's a lot of people that just get in the heat of the moment and they get crazy and then they're fighting with other parents and it's like, yo, relax, dude. Chill out.
Especially if like the dad was a wrestler, it's hard for them to let the coach do their job.
Yeah, well, it's a masculinity. It's an ego and a masculinity thing.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not, dude, let's just be clear. You're not being undermined. You're not less of a man because another dude is telling your kid that he has to do XYZ during a wrestling match. That's why they're there.
Right, yeah. It's just, I just personally think that, like, if you're a father, you should be, even if you're a coach, even if you're a wrestler or a coach, you should be the father first.
Yep.
That's my opinion. At Savage, like, I work with the high school guys a little bit. I'll go to tournaments for the high school guys, but mostly my responsibilities are with the little guys, with the elementary group. The parents there, they're great. They're great. I communicate these things I'm telling you now, right? That it's about positive reinforcements for them. That going to a tournament should be a fun experience for them. That they should be encouraging them and all that. That the wins and losses don't matter for them right now. It's about them learning and getting better and all that. They're very receptive to that. They're great people. They trust me with their kids. I appreciate that. A bunch of them are coming to my fight. I appreciate that. So it's a great experience. Like, this isn't like everybody that I'm talking about, but the thing of it is, the reason why it's reality show worthy is that because the ones that do get nuts really get nuts. When it's just like kind of becomes the elephant in the room where everybody looks around like, who's gonna fucking tell them?
Well, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable because, and if you're the one that has to talk to this person and bring them off of the cloud 9 high that they're off of, yelling and screaming like a lunatic, there's a chance that they're gonna get nasty with you. So you have to like just easy, man. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah,
everything's gonna work out. Just bring it down a little bit.
Especially when they're younger. I just really want to drive that point home. Especially when they're younger, man. Just make it a fun experience, right? It doesn't matter what the results are at this random, like, because yes, it's a wrestling tournament, but like at the end of the day, all that's happening is that we're gathering in a gym, we're putting mats down, and we're letting these kids wrestle each other. Okay, if your kid makes it, if your kid's part of the 1% of high school wrestlers that go from high school wrestling to Division I college wrestling, your kid's part of the 1% that does that. His 8-year-old tournament record isn't following him now. I promise you that.
Can you imagine if it did? Imagine if it did. Oh, well, we can't accept you because you had that loss when you were 7. It's like, what?
Yeah, seriously. Like, it's, you have to get them there, right? You want them to win a state championship? You got to get them to like wrestling enough that they want to go when they're 8 and they're 9 and they're 10 and they're 11 and they're 12. You have to make sure they don't fucking hate it by the time they're 14. And then the results actually start mattering at that point.
Yeah, and resenting is a fairly easy process if it's nothing but a headache, nervousness for them, stress, just because the parents are just emanating what they're feeling.
Yeah, right. Look, okay, your kid's not going to want to eat broccoli, so you have to make him eat broccoli.
I like broccoli.
You get what I'm saying?
Okay,
that's just because your kid, it doesn't mean your kid always has to be happy and smiling. Give him whatever he wants, right? Sometimes you have to force them into the wrestling room, right? If you believe that this is a good path to be, sometimes you got to force them into the wrestling room. Sometimes you tell them, no, you can't play Fortnite right now. You have to go to wrestling practice, right? I'm not saying that you baby them and let them do whatever they want, but you should make the wrestling a positive experience for them so that they learn to fall in love with it.
Yeah.
So that they find goals in their own right, not you put goals onto them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Mr. Beethoven, how did you get I can understand why you got the nickname, but who gave you that nickname?
So there's double credit for that one.
Okay.
Anthony Palacino and Eric Prush get the credit for that one.
Okay. They get the credit for that.
Yeah.
And the symphonies every time.
Yeah. Well, it's just
You're playing on it now. I like it.
Like we first started talking about. You gotta have a good sense of humor with the hearing, man, because it's the definition of low hanging fruit. The jokes. So they started calling me, Beethoven, because Beethoven went deaf like later on in life from always clanging on the piano keys, and then I just kind of ran with it.
I like it.
Yeah.
Like it. The profile picture makes me chuckle.
Yeah. It's literally just like an AI image of like Beethoven with cauliflower ear. It might be photoshopped, but
I don't care what it is. It makes me laugh every time I see it.
You got the shirt, right? You got the shirt.
I don't have the shirt. No.
What?
I don't have the shirt. No.
You don't have the shirt.
I don't have a shirt.
Okay. I have to get you a shirt.
Okay. I will proudly wear the shirt.
Okay. That is on the shirt.
Yeah, I know.
Beethoven
Nick has one. Big Nick has one.
Okay.
Shouts to Big Nick.
Oh yeah. Yeah, dude keeps me healthy. Like, dude, I'll text that dude anytime. He's like, "What's wrong? Like, what do you need?"
Yeah.
Dude's awesome.
I texted Scott. No, I texted him and Scott right after I fucked my ankle up, and I was like, "Can we just take a look at this? Make sure it's not like bad." And they're like, "Yeah, of course." And I went through, and they're just like, "Yeah, you're good, man." It's like a grade 1, grade 2 sprain. I was like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't. When I was wrestling in college, I would get so run down, and what I had thought was like what Nick and Scott do is what I always thought PT was.
Yes.
Before I went into a PT place for the first time.
Brutal.
And then through high school and college wrestling, it's like, oh, this is what PT is then. And then I met Nick and Scott, and I would not be training at the volume I'm training at, performing at the level I'm performing at if I did not have their help. So yeah, big shout out to those guys.
They help keep everybody. LI Stretch, they help everybody. It's a great place. I see your dad was getting treated next to me one day. It's all good. So we got to fight in 6 days, man. Do you have anything else you want to end on and talk about? Where can people follow you? Number one, just give some insight on, to follow the journey, bro.
Like I said, I got that chip on my shoulder a little bit. Like I try to radiate good vibes. Like I generally am a happy and positive person, but I just really have that like drive inside of me that just wants to be better, just wants to be the man. I let that push me. If you have that, and don't be afraid to let it push you. If there's that little thing that subconsciously eats inside of you, turn that into fuel, man. Let that fuel your discipline. Let that wake you up and let that push you. And I'm just like, I'm on this path also because of that. And I'm also on this path because of like, I'm aware that I'm aware of how fortunate I am. Whether my dad, that pops, has my back no matter what. He actually texted me the other night. He said, I always got your back. No jiu-jitsu pun intended. But he's always got my back. Always there for me. Drop of a hat, anything I need. Let's go. He makes this possible for me. And so does Matt Serra.
Shouts to Big Matt.
Oh, yeah. Like I was, when you asked me what I would be doing if I wasn't fighting, right? So, actually, yeah, we can jump back on that for a second if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
So, I wanted to go to law school. Like, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a lawyer when I was in high school. And I still wanted to, like, my first, like, year or so of college. And then by the time I got to my second year of college, I was just like, yeah, I do not want to, like, do that at all. It used to be very rah-rah political. Not anymore. I mean, I still, like, have my own personal feelings, but, like, it's just not what I put my energy into. But, anyways, I had a pretty good job. Like, I was working, municipal job, blue collar, neon shirts, that kind of deal. I liked it. I liked being active. I liked shooting the shit with the guys. If I chose to go, like, if I chose to like buy into it, like, that would have been like a good benefits package and retirement and stuff. Wasn't great money, but like steady job, always have work, even during COVID. Like just that, like for just like to use that as an example, like those guys like only like didn't work for like 3 weeks and like they were still getting paid the whole time and they went right back to work. Like that's just like a job that's always there.
Hmm.
So stable, like definition of a stable job. Um, Worked for my boss there. Also, he had a business that he ran on the side. Worked for him too. Uh, One of my first sponsors. Guys always did the right thing by me. So JT, Trailer Trash, shout out to you guys. Love you guys. Um, but like, I don't miss digging into a rat shit infested apartment and throwing stuff in the back of a truck. Like, don't miss that at all. But that's what I was doing while I was trying to figure out like what I was gonna do next. When I finished wrestling in college, right, when I graduated college, I actually had a fifth year because of the COVID year, right? We didn't use eligibility during that year. So I could have wrestled in the fifth year. I could have stayed in school. I thought about going for a teaching degree, but I wasn't 100% sure what I was going to do. And I wanted to do that fifth year of wrestling, but like, I didn't know what I was going to do. And it just seemed like a really stupid idea to make the financial expense of a master's degree when I didn't know for sure, like didn't really know what I wanted to do. When I knew that I was only going for that master's degree just because I wanted to keep wrestling, right? It just didn't seem like a smart thing to do.
Hmm.
So then I got jiu-jitsu. I'm working, trying to figure out what the next route is. Like, maybe I will get that education degree, and then I was like, what, I'm gonna do a fight. Like, that was just kind of something I wanted to do. And then as I get into it, like my dream job had always just been like I said, if I got, $2,000 a week, $100,000 a year, just to live off that, like I would do exactly what I'm doing right now. And then it didn't happen instantaneously. Once I took the leap, I was able to start moving towards doing what I'm doing right now. So I left my job at the town and I was still working for Trailer Trash, doing some jobs on the side for cash. And I was right here. I was bouncing on the weekends. I was bouncing at the Huntington Village Tavern and the Ivy.
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, I got nothing bad to say about those places, but I just hated bouncing.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Hated being up till 4 o'clock in the morning.
Did you know my buddy Russell Zeus? Russell Zeus?
Say again?
My buddy Russell.
Russell?
He used to bounce at the Ivy. Big guy.
Maybe.
Beard. He got stabbed in the face.
I heard about that. I didn't know.
Yeah, that was him. Yeah.
Shit. He alive?
Yeah, he's alive.
Okay.
Yeah.
He all right?
Yeah, he's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. Well, that's bouncing. That's why it's not,
Yeah.
it's a tough gig.
Yeah. So I was right. So actually, let me jump back at the hair. I was working for the town, doing that job. I was coaching I started coaching at Savage Wrestling Academy, and then I was training for the fight, right? And then I realized I couldn't do all three. Couldn't train the way I needed to train, coach, and work that 7 to 3 job. So I left the job, doing some side work, bouncing, coaching. That's how I made it happen. After a while, and I was like sleeping in the gym from like after I bounced here because right here in Huntington, I was training on Saturday morning anyways. So I was sleeping in the gym on Friday nights. Like I asked Matt about it, he said okay. And then after a while, he's like, "Yo, how much you making bouncing?" I told him the numbers. And he's like, "We don't need to do that anymore." So now he's got me running the kids class. He's got me, he's paying me for the wrestling class.
Noon to midday.
I teach on Tuesdays now. I do private lessons for his 3 daughters, Angelina, Maria, Sophia. They really are unbelievable young girls. Like the dedication and focus and attentiveness that they have at 10, 12, and 14, respectively, is unbelievable. Like 17-year-old high school wrestlers don't put in the effort and attention that they do. It's incredible. And so, but like between that, what Matt pays me, I do, I took on more responsibility at Savage. I do a lot of private lessons now because, as you grow relationships with people that you coach with, their parents want to take their commitment to the next level, I'm happy to be involved in that. So I do a lot of private lessons now. I'm at the point where I've had to turn private lessons away because, like, with the fight coming up, I just don't have as much time right now. So I'm like, listen, we got to revisit this after the fight. But I went from not knowing how I was going to make that transition to now having to, like, figure out how to make enough time to do it. It's the best problem in the world to have.
Yeah.
So, geez, I forgot what question I was answering.
What would you be doing if it wasn't for?
Yeah, so I don't know. Like, I struggled with that for a while. The thing was, when I was wrestling in college, that gave me purpose, right? Because I was a college wrestler like that. That was enough to get me through the day. And then so I struggled for a while with that. Couldn't really figure out what I wanted to do. And then when I was the lifestyle of training and being a fighter, which is what I loved, obviously, but it gave me purpose again.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I started to, because with wrestling, I was so worried it was going to end. Now I don't have that feeling. Like, I'm able to just kind of put my energy into moving forward without worried about what's going to happen next. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. Yeah, it answers the question.
All right. I know I'm all over the place, man.
No, it's all good, bro. How can people follow you? If they want to follow the journey, how can people follow you?
So, Beethoven _the_ grappler. That's my name, Beethoven the Grappler. And my name is Beethoven, because, like I said, I perform symphonies. They started out as just jiu-jitsu symphonies, but now they're violent symphonies now. We get in the cage, and it's awesome. But, yeah, I'm pretty active on Instagram, Beethoven _the_ grappler. Yeah, I don't really do like the Twitter or Threads or TikTok or anything else. I just an Instagram guy.
That's okay.
But yeah.
Dude, 6 days.
Yeah.
Gonna knock them dead, man. You're gonna kill it out there. I can't wait to see you do it.
So excited.
It's gonna be a good fight, man.
Words cannot describe how excited I am right now.
And that's how you should be when you're doing things that you love. So I said that's how it should be when you're doing things that you love.
Yeah. And I'm like, some fights got taken off the card, right? Because guys drop out all the time.
Get up on that. You better get up on that mic. You're getting relaxed.
Sorry. Some guys dropped out, so like the card hasn't stayed intact. But I was supposed to be the third to last fight of the night. I might be the second, or I might even be the last fight of the night now. The point is, I'm going to be fighting late, so it's going to be late. So which means we get out of there. I'm going to Little Vinny's. We're going to get some pizza, man.
Nice.
Let's go. Oh yeah, I've been. I don't cut a lot of weight for one. I don't really cut weight that at all to make 170. Like I walk around. I'm probably sitting in front of you at 178 right now. So it's not difficult for me. But like out of choice, I've decided just like I'm not eating pizza during this game.
Yeah, well, you want to be healthy.
Yeah. But I'm gonna eat so much pizza.
Good, and you should. And you got to enjoy that.
Yeah.
Where is it? Where's the fight? Is it at the Space?
The Space in Westbury. Yep.
Cool. So it's at the Space in Westbury. So we got the fight, 6 days.
Yep.
Y'all got my man.
We've got legal assault and battery, and then we've got pizza. And then we've got beer.
Yes. Then you got assault. Then you got assault of the gut. There you go. Right there. Go assault the stomach.
I might not be able to digest cheese after Saturday night.
Oh, it's over. Yeah, it's over.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's over for you. Yeah, it's over for the. I'm alerting all the bathrooms in a 10-mile radius. I'm letting everyone know. Do not let him in. He is going to crack that porcelain. Do not let him come in there. Yo, Tommy, I appreciate you, dude. I appreciate you sitting down, hanging out with me and Kenji. I believe this is episode 86 of Rizzology. I got to sit down with my man from my brother in Jiu Jitsu, who very kindly, I didn't get to bring this up yet, very kindly always lets me just like work when I'm working with him. He could snap my shit in 2 seconds, but I know that he just is being very nice. So I appreciate that.
Like I said, I match the energy. I
appreciate that. I really do. But as usual, if you guys got something amazing from this, which I know you did, share, like, subscribe to the channel. I'm definitely going to have Tommy back on in the future. We'll all sit down. Maybe we'll get like a little panel, me, you, Nick. Nice. We'll get a bunch of people to sit down and hang out. But definitely share, like, subscribe. I appreciate every single one of you guys for hanging out and fucking with us. And on that note, peace.